Welcome everybody to the Giver Method channel. My name is Jake and I'm glad you're able to join us today. Now in this video I want to cover how you can reignite momentum when you've been stuck for months or for even longer than that. But I want to cover how you can do that without burning out, because I know as a parent and entrepreneur, employee working away, like there's a lot on your plate that could be leading towards overwhelm, frustration, stress, and maybe you're at that burnout mode. I want to make sure that we can help you get unstuck from that. Without pushing you over the line. Cool? Now, this might feel deeply personal if you've been there before, so let me ask you a couple questions that might ground this a little bit, make it more real for everybody. Like if you've ever looked up one day and realized that maybe months or even years have passed by and you're still like in the same place, not just physically in the same place, but emotionally and mentally, like you're going through the motions, but the spark that you once had, it feels like it's completely gone. Maybe you want to move forward, but every time you think about starting, you're hit with like that overwhelming sense of shame about, man, how long I've been stuck, or worrying that you've lost your ability to make progress, or, maybe fear that you've gotten, like, it has gotten in the way of you moving forward at all. And so if any of those feel like they resonate at least a little bit with you, if you're nodding along, then just know you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing broken or anything as a part of that. There's just some things that we need to make sure that we put into place that start moving that forward. Now, maybe you're a parent who's been running on empty for a long time, and that thought of, going after that personal goal, that thing you really want to accomplish for yourself, maybe it feels impossible. Maybe it feels selfish. Maybe it feels like you don't have the right energy levels for that right now. Or maybe you are the entrepreneur whose business has been in survival mode for months, and you've stopped innovating or pushing forward because you can barely manage what's already on your plate. Or maybe you're the employee who's been going through the motions at work, and you've been doing that for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be really engaged and passionate about what you're doing, and starting to care again or get more into that. Maybe it feels like risky. Maybe you've built some protective shell around, expectations, and you're unsure where to go from there. Now, here's what I've discovered through my own journey, as well as the journey of working with hundreds of people who have felt the exact same way. The momentum that you're seeking doesn't require to have it. You don't have to have everything all figured out. Okay, it doesn't require you to feel ready. It certainly doesn't require you to make up for any sort of lost time by doing something huge. And so I want to cover those with you so that you can start seeing that impact. Now, like I said at the top of the thing, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book. It's called The Giver Method. It came out in November, and since being out, it's had thousands of copies sold. It's an Amazon bestseller, tons of 5-star reviews. But what's amazing is that the people who are getting it, the people who go through it, they're realizing all the worksheets, all the exercises, all the things that are in there are designed to help them to discover their gifts and superpowers, create more influence and impact and value to those in their lives so they can live a more fulfilled life. They can make a greater impact. There's all sorts of greatness that comes from it. I'm going to put a link in the description because I think you should go buy this book. It's the best $10 you can invest in yourself. It's on Amazon. So once again, go to Amazon. You can look up The Giver Method by Jake Talbert, or use the link in the description because it's going to change your life. I promise you that if you get this, it will change your life. And I look forward to hearing how it changed your life as a part of that. Okay, so I want to dive deep into that. Now, a lot of things that are here in the book, they are also grounded in my own personal story. They're grounded in places where I've been, and so I like sharing those because I'll never forget when I was in a season of life where I was completely stuck. I was inside of a corporate job, just going through the motions, feeling like I was sleepwalking in my own life. Every day was a blend into the next one, just a blur. But I had dreams, I had goals, I had things I wanted to do, but they all felt like they belonged to someone else, and the shame of how long I'd been in that state made it even harder for me to imagine what I could change or what I could do that would make it different for me. But what changed for me is when I realized that momentum it's not about forcing anything. It's about finding the smallest possible movement that your current self can sustain. And I love grounding everything we talk about in research and science-backed data. So there's a bunch of research out there that shows that people who take just one small action towards their goals, just one small action, are 42% more likely to achieve any sort of a goal they put forth, than those who wait for motivation to strike them. So acting before you're ready. But what's even more encouraging, it's not about adding more to your already busy life. It's about working with your natural rhythms instead of against them. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to cover these 7 gentle yet effective principles for busy parents, overwhelmed entrepreneurs, disengaged employees, I've used with any one of those groups of people, and to break free from these extended periods of being stuck and reignite their momentum. These aren't theoretical concepts. They're not woo-woo in any sort of way. They're really practical tools that help you work through these things when you're exhausted, or if you feel that shame, or when you feel like you've forgotten who you used to be. Like I said, it's all grounded in concepts from the Giver Method. So, it's about showing up with your real gifts, authentic self, and is the foundation for like sustainable movement forward. So I'll put the link down in the description once again, so you can go get the Giver Method, or you can get that off thegivermethod.com. I'll put all our links to social media so you can check us out in those places. And for those of you who want a little more hands-on support, like I recently opened up a few one-on-one and coaching and mentoring spots. So if you know that you want to move faster, you're like, okay, I'm ready to do that. I want to break out of these patterns. I want to finally start showing up as, with the kind of action-based confidence like that we're going to be covering today, then you're going to find a link down in the description where you can learn more about that, about the one-on-one coaching. Now, if this topic is resonating with you and you've got a stage, a podcast, a team, or an event or a community, whatever it is, like where this message can make a difference, I'd love to explore how we could bring it to your people and serve them. So you'll find a link down in the description for that, about speaking in podcasts. And of course, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any future content that I put out, because I put out videos all week long. Wouldn't want you to miss out on those. And of course, leave your comments along the way. I love to read those and respond back to them. All right, so with that, let's just take a breath. Let's release that pressure. Let's talk about how to restart without shame, without overwhelm, without needing to be anyone other than who you exactly are right now. All right, so let's dive into that. All right, so the first of our principles is the compassionate reality check. So this is really about understanding the stuckness is like just natural human response and not a character flaw. And so that gives you the ability to start where you are, understanding where you are, and that there's no shame needed with that. Now, this is a big one, because if you've been stuck for months or maybe even longer, then this is where we actually have to begin. Before you try to power your way through, your way, out of this rut that you've been in, you've got to stop and take a breath, because momentum doesn't start with hustle. It starts with honesty, and specifically being honest about where you are right now without beating yourself up over it. And now here's what I mean by that. When you're stuck and you've been there for a while, you're usually carrying two things at once. One is the challenge of that thing that originally threw you off track, and the other is the quiet, or maybe in some cases not so quiet, shame voice that says why am I still here? What's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? And that builds, and then suddenly it's not just a situation holding you back, but the story that you've been telling yourself. Now here's the truth that changed everything for me. You're not stuck because of any sort of problem or laziness or brokenness or whatever. What's something that your nervous system is shutting down. Your brain has a way of protecting you when it feels like it's in that overwhelm, or it's in that fight or flight or whatever it may be. When you've been stressed for too long, running a business in survival mode, raising kids, while you're running on fumes, or working a job that slowly drained your spirit, your body taps the brakes a bit. Not because you're failing, but because it's trying to keep you from burning out completely. That's not a weakness. Once again, it's in our biology. And so, if you're feeling like you've lost time or fallen behind, then I want you to hear this, the voice that's in your head telling you that you're behind, that's shame. That really is what it is. And shame doesn't motivate, it actually paralyzes you. Okay? Shame doesn't it'll tell you you made a mistake or whatever it is. It says you are a mistake. Well, that's how the story gets stuck in your head, and that's the story that we're going to try and rewrite. Now, it's what I want you to do to help fix this is start with a simple moment of truth telling. Call it the no drama reality check-in. What I want you to do is I want you to say hey, I've been in a low season. I've been haven't felt like myself, right? Motivation's been a hit or miss for me, but this is where I am right now. That's it. Just acknowledge where it is. No commentary, no judgment, just the facts. And then let yourself name it without needing to fix it right away. There's so much power in just getting it out there. Be hey, I've been in this place, and I understand that I've been in this place. It's not where I want to be, but I'm ready to move forward. Okay, so then the next thing you want to try is reframe when the frustration keeps in. Hey, my body, my body's been doing what it's designed to do. My brain is designed to protect me, when it can't push anymore. And now I can gently invite it to open back up when it's ready. Did you have to reframe the frustration? Look, it's been shutting me down, but I'm ready. I can move forward when I'm ready to move forward. You know, the difference like there is between like fighting in the stuckness or like working with it, acknowledging it and being like, cool, I understand where I am and I'm going to just work my way slowly out of it. If it's shame's been hanging around, like, you know, that roommate who doesn't pay rent, you know, give it the official eviction notice, kick it out, write down like all of the like I should have's, you know, or I'm so behind thoughts, and then like tear them up or burn the paper or delete the doc, like whatever feels good. After that, like write out like, like it came from someone who loves you, something like, you know, hey, I know you've been going through a hard season and you're still worthy, and you know, you're allowed to move slow because the impact you're going to make, it's not as far off as you think. You know, because here's the thing, like real momentum doesn't just come, like it doesn't come from self-judgment in any sort of way. It comes from the self-trust that you're going to need to have. Okay, people who practice self-compassion in this sort of a way, they're way more likely to take positive action in those like, you know, than those who have any sort of a shame in themselves. You know, they're way more likely to change. You know, and if you've been stuck for a while, that's, you know, this isn't just an interesting fact or a data point. Like it's a lifelong thing that could truly have a massive impact on your life. You don't need to force your way forward. You need to create the safety to let your nervous system breathe again, and then that's where the change becomes possible, not through pressure, but through the presence in that moment. Now that's going to be the foundational piece for these other 6 that we're going to cover. So be ready. You know, number 2 is all about this energy alignment system, working with your natural patterns instead of against, you know, fighting against them, because people fight their energy and we want you to start working with it. Like it's one of the biggest traps that keeps people stuck. Like we try to get moving again based on like, you know, who we used to be, not who we are right now. And we expect that sort of a comeback to like be like our best days back in the day, you know, but you're running on, you know, you're running on no energy, not full energy. You know, you have friction. There's not, you know, people think there's going to be zero friction and I'm going to be laser focused. Like, sorry, that's not going to happen. There's a lot of distractions. There is friction. You're going to be burned out on energy. You know, if you've been stuck for a long time, the expectation that you can crush your momentum before it even starts, like, gosh, you got to change how you look at that. Okay. You know, it's that you're, you know, not that you're lazy or broken or anything, like you're just tired, you're drained, and you've been managing a full life and trying to force consistent progress every single day without like honoring how the energy actually works. Like, gosh, that's like trying to sprint in quicksand. It's not going to work for you. You're just going to sink deeper and deeper, which is why you've ended up where you are. Now, here's the truth. Your energy isn't broken. It's just trying to tell you something. Your body runs on these natural cycles of ups and downs, you know, of bursts and dips, okay? There are different data out there that shows that when people match their goals with their actual energy and capacity, they're more likely to keep them long term. You know, and there's like these 90-minute energy waves your body naturally moves throughout the day. It's not random at all. It's actually a rhythm. And when you learn to work with that rhythm instead of forcing it, you know, forcing through it, like it gets way easier. So that's what this energy matching is all about. It's not about how you match, like it's not how much you can do. Like it's not about how much you can do in any sort of means. It's about like when and how you do it based in real time, like your real-time fuel tank. You don't need to force yourself into a structure. You just need to stop fighting against your own biology that you have there. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing, like we need to acknowledge, or we need to be able to understand the energy thing. So like I want you to start with this thing called where you're going to be energy mapping. You're going to do that for a week, where there's like, once again, no pressure, no performance, anything like that. We're just going to observe for 7 days and track when your energy feels high, or what I call the green zones. You know, when it's like, meh, it's okay. Like those are yellow zones. And when it drops like off, like that's your red zone. You know, and you can jot those down in like a notes app or wherever it may be and pay attention to the patterns. Are you sharper, have more green mid-morning? Or is it that you crash after lunch? You know, does creativity spark something for you? Or does the evening spark, you know, whatever it is, don't change anything yet. Just notice these patterns. Then once you've been able to notice it, now we can go build your personal like energy menu. You know, think of it like the 3 playlists within your week. You know, you're gonna like, when you're in a green zone, do something that stretches you. You know, have a tough conversation, dig into that new idea, take that step into something meaningful. If you're in a yellow, like, or you know, go for the tasks that like, you know, keep things moving, keep things organized, replying to emails, you know, reading something that lifts you, whatever. The red zone, like that's a recovery window. You rest, hydrate, breathe, go for a walk, whatever it is. Like the win here is not that you're going to be doing more. Like you're just actually doing work based off the state that you're in. Now the real game changer is when you pre-plan your 3 levels, you know, of the same goal. Okay. So like, let's say you're trying to reconnect with your creativity. Like when your energy is high, maybe you want to write for 30 minutes. If your energy is like a mid-level, maybe you scroll through inspiring photos or listen to a podcast. Or like if you're wiped, like, you're just gonna sit outside and notice the color of the sky. Like, you're still building momentum, but without draining yourself dry. You're still working towards the goal. Like, you can work within the green, yellow, and reds, just, at the right pace at the right time. Because when you stop trying to push through and start honoring, like, what your actual capacity is, like, you're going to stop burning out. You're going to stop beating yourself up. You're going to start making real progress that it doesn't feel like a punishment, or like you're having to burn everything down to get there. People who do this not only feel more satisfied with their days, but they're more likely to stay on that growth path beyond that. It's not about giving yourself any sort of a pass on anything. It's just about finally working with yourself instead of constantly fighting against like reality of your full, like, beautiful, imperfect, like, overloaded life that you have. Once you can build this kind of alignment into your days, like, even the small wins start to feel really big again. And that builds a lot of, evidence for yourself. Now, our third one that I want to dive into is this, like, there's this idea of the gentle restart protocol. So actions so small that they feel like, almost effortless. Like, so it's like I said, the gentle restart. Like, when you've been stuck for a while, and I say like really stuck, and I've been there, so I get it. Like, not just for a few days, but for months or more, like, of this survival mode, burnout, like, you're spinning your wheels. Like, starting again can feel like almost impossible, and like, you might just be racking your brain even thinking about it. The gap between where you are and like where like you used to be, it can feel so big that it just shuts you down before you even try. And let's be real, hearing advice like, just take massive action, do something, be real. Like when your nervous system's already fried, that doesn't help. It just adds pressure to like the system that's already running on empty or close to overriding. So here's what I want you to know. Momentum doesn't start with pressure. It starts with something so small that your brain doesn't even have the time to panic. It starts with something that you can do today without needing to feel ready, motivated, or energized. That's where this like gentle restart comes in. It's about building momentum without scaring off current energy or letting your brain talk yourself out of it. It's not about changing everything in your life. It's about creating the tiniest shift that reminds you, I can still move. I'm still capable of showing up as myself. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start like, the first thing is I refer to as like the 2-minute rule plus. Okay, pick one area where you want to reconnect with, something that used to light you up, and really give you energy, and give it just 2 minutes in the day. 2 minutes, that's it. 2 minutes of reading, 2 minutes of stretching, 2 minutes of journaling, whatever it is. Set a timer, stop when it goes off, even if you want to keep going. Why? Because you're not trying to do more. You're just trying to rebuild trust with yourself. I said I would do it. I said I would dive into it, like, and for 2 minutes, and I did. Like, that feeling, that's a win, and those things build and stack over time. And then next, you can anchor it. Choose one tiny action to be like your daily reset. Your reminder, like, that you're moving again. Okay, maybe it's making your bed. Maybe it's drinking a full glass of water. Maybe it's texting one encouraging word to someone you love. It doesn't matter what it is, just that you show up, like, you know that you're doing that thing every day. If nothing else goes right, I did my thing. That's going to create, once again, so much craziness, how much your brain rewires in that moment and starts to see new opportunities that are available. Then you can create what I call like a momentum chain, where you start tracking, like, somewhere simple, like whatever it is, like put an X on your calendar, a check on the planner, leave yourself a note or whatever. Like, the goal isn't perfection. Like, it's just a visibility. Like, you're making your movement seen. You've done something. Okay. And if you miss a day, it's cool. Like, whatever. Don't spiral. Just pick back up the next day and keep that real power going. Like, it's never missing. It's just about restarting. It's about like, okay, let's just keep going. I didn't fall off the path. I'm just, took one small step to the side. I'm ready to keep moving forward. Most people stay stuck because, like, not because they're lazy, it's just that they've lost trust in their ability to, like, follow through. They've tried before, they didn't stick with it. Like, and that history starts to whisper things to them, tells them that story, like, you're the kind of person who you're not the kind of person that follows through anymore. But the truth is, every small action you take, like, you are casting a vote into who you're becoming. Every time you do something small that you said you do, your brain starts to believe in that again, and your confidence slowly comes back. And before long, those little steps start adding up to something that feels so much more, adds so much more progress for you. So then that leads us to the fourth one, which is like the small wins foundation. So, like, we're starting to see these little things happen. So, like, now we're going to build the evidence even more. We're going to stack wins on top of each other, because something that, almost no one does when they're trying to get unstuck but absolutely should is this idea. Like when you're stuck for a long time, your brain, once again, it just doesn't, it doesn't just forget about the momentum and what that feels like. It starts collecting recipes and stories of someone who doesn't follow through. Every half-started project, every abandoned goal, like I'll start on Monday, like turned into like maybe next month, it adds up. And the worst part is your brain, it actually starts to believe it. It creates programming for that. So you start quietly doubting, like it can be rewritten. That's what we're talking about. It doesn't take some big dramatic breakthrough to do it. By stacking wins. So we talked about like, what's that one thing, just one that you can do. Now we're going to start stacking on top of it. All right. The doable things that are almost like impossible to fail at. So here's what I want you to do. Start by doing this like daily evidence practice. So like once we've identified those small ones from the previous thing, now the idea is like, okay, well, how do we notice the evidence even more? What's the action, like something that matters to you, even just a little bit, that I can do every day and every week? And once again, we're tiny things like, like we mentioned earlier, like the glass of water in the morning, or journaling, or stretching, like writing down like what you're grateful for, taking 2 minutes to clean one part of your desk, like, or part of your house, like whatever it is. Kicker is every time you do it, pause for a few seconds to say to yourself, like, hey, this is proof I'm keeping my promise to myself, and then I can move forward. That moment of acknowledgement, like it's what makes this little bit count. And then you build the progress tracker. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Like once again, on the calendar, your note app, like a phone note app, like a journal, like every day you do something, check a mark, and then start adding things on top of it. Like the previous principle was like, I'm just going to do one thing. Well, now how do I start stacking something else on top of that? What's the next thing I want to do? And once again, you're going to notice that these things don't add to your overwhelm. They don't add to your calendar. They don't add to what you already have going on. It's something that fits into what you're already doing. You're already picking your kids up from school, and you're adding this piece to it. You're already, going to be doing team meetings. You're going to add this thing to it. Like whatever those are, just keep adding those little bits and pieces to it. Like, and then finally, don't skip the part where you celebrate the wins. I don't mean like throw a party, like just like, hey, being like, hey, I did it. Like, that's it. Just tiny fist pump or whatever, the smile, the thing that basically helps your brain know like that mattered to me. We're teaching our system that these actions mean something to us. They count because they do. And then over time, as you start to notice that you're doing it more and more, share that with somebody else, because, oh my gosh, your brain, when you tell someone else and you get that positive feedback from someone else, it's going to rewire your brain even more. Okay. Most people don't stay stuck because of this. Like, they can't figure things out, or that they're lazy or whatever. They stay stuck just because they no longer believe that they're the kind of person who finishes things. That's what these last two things are all about. You don't need to rebuild your whole life overnight. Like, just focus on this. Like, you just need to collect the evidence of the small ones so your brain starts believing, hey, I can do this. Once you believe that, the rest is going to get a whole lot easier. So then our fifth one is going to be all around like this interest archaeology practice. So like, once again, I want to reconnect with what used to spark your curiosity and your engagement. Like, dig where the joy in your life used to live. Like, one of the weirdest things about being stuck for a long time is when you realize like you don't even remember what lights you up anymore. Things that you used to care about, they feel flat. The stuff that once sparked curiosity, made you lose track of time, like it's like someone turned the volume all the way down off of that, and like it's leaving you wondering, like, did I lose a part of me, or am I going like am I ever going to feel inspired again? Like, is there anything that's going to really help me tap into my potential? The truth is, like, the spark isn't gone. It's just been buried. Like, you don't lose it. You've just been in this survival mode, and survival mode is great for helping us get through hard seasons, but it is terrible at keeping you connected with what, makes you feel alive. And so that's where this like dig where the joy used to be is all about. It isn't about forcing yourself to be passionate again, or find, or like, well, let's find your purpose, like, or anything like that. It's like this gently going back to the places that you like joy used to hang out, and seeing what's still there. Because guess what? Sometimes the things that were there are still there, and sometimes it's going to be something brand new that you didn't even realize. Without any pressure, like you can see it faster, and you can make it mean something right away. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to start by doing this thing called a memory dig. Okay, so that's why I called it archaeology, memory dig. So like, you're going to take like 10 to 15 minutes, and you're going to flip through old photos, scroll past maybe old posts that you did, reread journal entries, whatever. Call someone who knew you for a long time and ask, like, when did I feel genuinely excited about something? What was I doing when I lost track of time? What did I used to love before life got really heavy. And you don't need to jump back into it right away. Just notice what bubbles up. Like, what were those things? Maybe it was hiking, or helping an old friend, or like geeking out over a new idea. Whatever it is, jot it down as like you're collecting clues here, and then start like like some sort of a curiosity catch list, where you keep this on your phone, on in a notebook or whatever. And anytime something even slightly catches your attention, write it down. A book you maybe read, a podcast episode that intrigued you, the random topic that makes you think, well, that was interesting. Like, don't like act on it yet. You don't have to. Just gather. Let your interest grow without needing to like do anything about it or dive all in. And then one of my favorite tools is the side door strategy. Like, if you're jumping back into an old passion, you're trying something new, and like it feels like too much, then just try stepping through the side. Like, if you love painting but you haven't picked up a paintbrush in years, like walk through the art store and browse creative videos. Like, that's it. If you used to write, try reading something like beautiful, or listening to authors talk about the process. Like, maybe you were into like fitness before burnout hit. Well, go watch someone move joyfully or stretch with no expectations. Like, don't push anything. Just hang out near the things that you used to love and see what stirs. Does it create any sort of emotions? Because when you reconnect with even one of the smallest like authentic interests that you had, everything changes. You don't need willpower to do it anymore. You don't need to fix that lack of motivation. You just need to give joy a little bit of room to breathe again, and it starts making its way back in. Motivation like that, it lasts. It's going to feel so much more natural to you. It comes from things that matter to you, not the things that you're forcing. And there's all sorts of data out there that shows that people who reconnect with the smallest pockets of natural curiosity, they report better energy, more emotional resilience, and more consistent progress, even during hard times. So like, if you're feeling flat, uninspired, or like part of you used to care about is gone, like, don't panic. It still exists. You're not rebuilding from scratch. You're just digging back old parts of you that got buried when life got loud. And once you find that even like the smallest thread of what's real, then just pull gently without pressure. You don't have to rip the thing and burn yourself out again. Just like let it lead you forward a little bit. Now that's going to take us to our sixth one, which is about this identity shift practice, like becoming someone who moves forward even when it's slow. Like, start becoming, which is one small move at a time. Like, and these all stacked on top of each other, you'll notice. So like, something people never talk about when they're when it comes to getting unstuck is like, there's this real battle. Isn't like your schedule, your energy, it's like your identity. Because after months, years, like you've been stuck, like even you start believing what you're hearing in your head. Maybe you're someone who can't make progress. Maybe the old you used to get things done has disappeared. Like, that belief starts. And so we need to shift that identity. That's where this next shift comes into place. Like, start becoming who you want to be, like one small move at a time. Because the truth is, you don't need to feel like a new person to begin acting like one. You just need to fully believe in the next version of you, and that it's there, and that you're on your way. You're just not there yet, and give yourself permission to begin that shift and gently and consistently move towards it. So what I want you to do is I want you to start with this idea called like the bridge identity, where you think of it like something like a stepping stone between you and who you feel like right now, and the version who you're becoming. Maybe you're not ready to say like, I'm a high achiever yet, or whatever, or I'm crushing it. Like, that's okay. Try something that's true and hopeful. I'm someone who's learning to move again. I'm someone who's taking some small steps at a time to get to where I want to go. I'm someone who's gently rebuilding momentum. Whatever it is, write it down. Read it in the morning. Let it set the tone, for you. Like, not for pressure, but for possibility. And then you build your proof pile. We've talked a lot about how much this helps so much. Like, anything you do that reflects your bridge identity, no matter how small, you collect evidence. You read an inspiring page, that counts. You choose growth over avoidance, like even once, that counts. Little actions, like, things that happen, like you're rewiring your internal story. If anyone compliments you, if anyone says anything, like any of those little bits and pieces, those are all evidence that you want to put into your proof pile. That way you can say to yourself, like, hey, I'm someone who's rebuilding momentum and kept their promise today. Like, that's me, that's who I am. And then one of the most powerful things is regular check-ins with your future self. Imagine like the version of you that's like 6 months from now, who just kept showing up gently and slowly and consistently. What would they say to you today? What would they thank you for? And then you can write a quick letter to them, and like, or from them back to you. It gives some current context, even reminds you like, this isn't about today's task, it's about who you're becoming, because lasting change doesn't come from fixing what's wrong. You know, it's because like you are becoming more of who you actually are underneath all of that stuckness, like who's already there. You know, and if you've been out of the game for a while, the first thing you need to do like isn't a better plan. You know, it's more like a more compassionate lens. You know, you haven't forgotten like what it feels like to trust yourself again. Like then just let's find that trust and let's move forward. This shift reminds you that you don't need the perfect routine or 90-day plan to move forward. You just need one movement and alignment. Every time that you repeat a movement, your identity will get stronger, your confidence starts to return, not because everything changes overnight, but because you start seeing yourself differently and you start to believe a little bit more and more at each time. And that leads us to the seventh and final principle, which is like this forward motion maintenance system. It's like, what's the sustainable momentum that survives setbacks and low sessions? How do I keep going, you know, even when life gets messy? Most people don't stay stuck because they can't start. They stay stuck because like they don't know like how to keep going once real life kicks in. And you've probably been there where maybe you got a little bit of momentum, you feel hopeful for the first time in weeks or months, and then like a curveball hits you, you get sick, a kid gets sick, work piles up, motivation disappears, and suddenly it feels like all the progress is gone and you're back at square one. That's where this like final shift comes, like the keep going system. You know, it's all about building momentum that survives the real life, like not just good days, not just the motivated moments, but the messiness in the middle. And when things go according to like don't go according to plan, you know, because the truth is like progress isn't a straight line by any means. People, you know, who actually build fulfilling and purpose-filled aligned lives, like they're not the ones who never fall off track or didn't struggle. They're the ones who've just built their way back again and again. So here's what I want you to do. Start with a simple 3-level momentum plan, okay? That's what we're gonna focus on. There's 3 levels. And it isn't about like going hard every single day. It's just about building flexibility to move forward. So like level 1 is like, similar to what we talked about with the green, yellow, red. Like level 1 is the red. It's like crisis mode. You know, this is like, I just have the bare minimum to give right now. I can barely think about it. Like, cool. Well, what can you still do, even if it's the absolute lowest day, even if it's like just, I'm gonna do one deep breath with intention. Maybe it's like, hey, I'm still in this, like, and that counts. Like, whatever it is, like, just have yourself that littlest, smallest, teeniest thing that you can do that helps reinforce things for you. The second level is maintenance mode. Like, this is going to be typical day, you know, groove, simple, doable actions that keep things moving forward without draining you. Maybe it's just 10 minutes of reflection or some stretching or showing up more to something that you're committed to. And then level 3 is like that growth mode. Like when you're feeling good, you're in green and you have the capacity to push further. Maybe it's creative work or strategic planning or hard conversation that you've been putting off. Whatever it is, like the goal is that you're always in motion, not that you're perfect. Like even if it's a small crawl, momentum doesn't break when, like, you know, it doesn't break when it bends. And then you can start your restart ritual, like we talked about. What's that go-to game plan for those days or weeks where things fall apart again? You know, think of it as your personal reboot button. It might look like, you know, rereading your bridge identity statement or picking one tiny action to do that day, or looking back at the small wins you've already had, or saying out loud like, hey, I don't need to be perfect, I just need to return. And the key is no shame behind it. It isn't about being flawless, because you can't be. Things happen. It's about being someone who returns to the path when life knocks you sideways. Finally, building weekly progress checks for yourself, you know, not measuring how far behind you are, but recognizing like what you did, what did you learn? You know, how do you want to show up next week? You know, when you showed up in any ways that you did this week, like how did you feel? How do we go find out more? And if energy is low, keep it simple. One reflection, one celebration, one intention, that's enough. Just keep it easy and simple on yourself. Because the real win isn't being perfect, it's knowing that you can come back again and again. All right, there's tons of data out there that shows that people who build systems for bouncing back after setbacks, they are 84% more likely to, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on these momentum habits and the flex that they need with real life. The keep going system gives you the tools for those days when motivation disappears, when the plan falls apart, when you just feel tired. It reminds you that forward movement doesn't have to be fast to be real. Like, it just has to keep going. And so I want to leave this with you. Like, if you've been waiting for the right energy, perfect moment, or huge spark to finally get moving again, like, I want you to know, like, you don't need that. And those are hard to find and hard to come by. You know, you don't need to become a whole new person to restart with momentum. Like, you just need, let me tell you, you don't need to go full speed. And you definitely don't need to make up for any lost time with any sort of massive leap, okay? You just need, like, what you already have is the ability to take one honest step that feels doable today. That's it. You know, remember being stuck, like, I've been there, like I said, in the corporate job, showing up every day on autopilot, and what made it worse was like it wasn't just the stuckness, it was the weight of how long it had been, and I kept thinking like I should have figured this out by now, you know. But here's what finally broke the loop, is realizing that I didn't need to force my way out of it. I just needed to stop fighting where I was, just show up where I'm at right now, start being more authentic. And so maybe today you pick one step, you know, maybe it's simple admitting like, hey, I've been stuck, but I'm not going to shame myself anymore about it. Or maybe it's a check-in with, you know, what your energy is and choosing something that actually matches the energy that you have to give right then. Maybe it's just 2 minutes of doing something that used to bring you joy, or writing down one sentence that reminds you who you want to become. Whatever it is, just start there, because gentle progress is real progress. Slow movement still counts. Small wins still matter so much. And showing up, especially when it's hard, is a win every single time. You're not behind, you haven't failed, you're not broken. You're just been in a season of life, like a season of survival. And now maybe for the first time in a while, you're ready to come back to life. And like, you don't have to do it all at once, just start small. And so here's what I want to hear. Like, I want you to take this away, okay? Every time you choose self-compassion over shame, every time you honor your energy instead of bulldozing it, every time you take one small step forward, no matter how tiny it is, that is a vote for who you're becoming. And those small votes add up so much. That's how real change happens, not through giant leaps, but through like one intentional moment at a time. So no, you don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to feel fully ready. You just need to be willing to work with what you already got. And that pace, like that, respects your humanity. Now, if you wanted to dive deeper into these things, then once again, that's where I'm going to tell you to go get yourself a copy of The Giver Method on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description, or go to the Amazon and look up The Giver Method by Jake Talbert. It's going to help you not just restart your momentum, but discover the unique gifts and purpose that, you know, emerge when you stop forcing yourself to be someone you're not, and start like honoring who you truly are. If you're someone who feels like a personal coach or support would be helpful, then once again, I've opened up just a couple of one-on-one coaching spots, and so you want to jump in, take action on one of those before they get filled up. And so if having someone in your corner feels like what you need right now, there's a link in the description that's going to talk more about it. And then, like I mentioned at the top of the video, you know, if you lead a team, run a podcast, have an event, a mastermind, whatever, or space where people gather, and you think that this message or one like it could serve them, I'd love to chat about how we could bring that, you know, bring this to your work, to your audience in a real practical and actionable way. So you'll find that link down below as well. And of course, if you liked the video, please, or if you enjoyed what we had, if it resonated with you, like the video, drop a comment. What stood out to you? Of course, I want to know, you know, what was your aha or your takeaway? Go ahead and feel free to hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any new things we have coming out. And then outside of that, like, just for now, just start with one small step. That's all you need to do to begin shifting your whole story. Like, your moment isn't lost. The momentum is still there. It's just been waiting for, like, you've just been waiting for the moment to be ready for it to come to yourself. Well, that moment, it's right now. I'm telling you, go do it. I'm proud of you. Keep going, you know, and hopefully we can start making some great changes within your life. And so until the next video, we'll catch you then. Have a great rest of your day.